These are the logs of the Starship Tesla. Please visit us at patreon.com/Aureaditry. Episode 7. Work log 218.2.10-4? Not saying your old pal Aura is a Maxine genius, but it's also not what I'm not saying. I'll take it. Same as the aura of victory about me. Not going to temper that by saying at least one other engineer had the same idea. Not going to say that he had definitely already begun a fabrication process under the chief's go-ahead. But he's not enlisted, so it doesn't count. Not at all. Only mine. Right, this is a story, this is how it goes. We were standing in the condenser's antechamber having a classic human problem beatdown. Waited for my moment. Waited for Hewliston to ask for divisional recommendations. Elbowed my LT and went for it. The dilemma, I figured, was that these little balking blighters have a certain cryo-affinity. They lost their universe home and sought the next best thing. An LT comm from operations made the observation that the ice cluster externally was visually clean before mat wrapping. Hadn't thought about that, to be honest. Science LT piped up. Apparently the Xenobac's preferred temperature isn't precisely that of the cosmos. You see, whereas our condenser is made up of nanochem polished copper, ice is not as impervious to their serrated burrowing flagella. She passed around a tablet with a detailed image of one of them. Torturous little guy, not far from a horror movie. Would be lying if I didn't say that I felt like darting off right there to the medbay. Regretting that ice tasting now. After this, not a thing in the verse stopping me from seeing the doc and hoping there's something for bacterial perforation of the digestive tract. But it's best not to dwell. BCE Greeks thought that the flame of life was in the body. Let's hope that works. Let the blighters burn. Bringing everyone back to it, I said all we needed was a rod colder than the condenser, and one that could tolerate time and space and being delivered to another floating sovereignty. Not too hard. Immediately suggested a copper beryllium alloy, thanks Wiki, with a nanotubule formation for rapid thermal conductivity, as injected by cold atom lasers and magnets, or, if you prefer, the calm. Sometimes reality is too beautiful. And an homage to the CEISS. Love scientists. I'll roll the dice better next time around. Naturally, I was awaiting my commendable head nods, then some shithead ensign engineer, Shotwell was his name, and he did, right through my Greek fire. That's the swine that had already built my device. All that was left for him was to hook up the cylinder to the comm rig. He even matched the concave surface of the condenser to the convex cavity for near seamless stitching and ease of bacterial transfer. Cognitive resonance. Eurekas never occur in isolation, do they? Too many people in this shitting side of the galaxy. One sparking neuron in an infinite sea. Is that too much to ask for? Shotwell thought so. Hey, we're having shots tonight. It all worked out. From there out, job was done. Got a pat from LT, got some bubbles anyway. Good day, depending what medbay scans say. Sergey, Shotwell, Hewliston, hooked it all up. Condenser's narrow, but I was one of the lucky few to see it in action, along with 2 other Xeno leads. It was near instantaneously that they started shifting to the 3-meter alloy. 2 hours for the full transference, not a sole survivor left on the condenser. It took some damage though, whole surface was micro-pitted. That's next shift's problem though. Right now, operations and Sergey are shuttling it back out. Science identified a comparable and ideal substitute. They're going to drill down, plant our riddled seed, and seal it up. All in all, not a bad little Xeno experience, all before even hitting AC. If you can't be 1 in 28 billion, it's alright to be 220 out of 28 billion. I'd call that unique. Much the same as my desire to get my guts scanned, and get the back boost immuno jab too. Out with the villi gouges and in with the good ones. Some sort of bacterial irony in all of this somewhere, but I'll leave that to medical. Think I'll have a hot shower tonight. And Science Division named them. Xenocalobacter hyphae crescentius glacius. Prima Orabella would have been better. End log. Personal log 218.2.11-1. Head feels it this morning. Didn't overdo it, but I've always had a torrid relationship with hydroxyl groups. No DNA mods for that, oddly. Can't get a malignancy, but nothing to receive those carbon chains any better. Let's enhance the human genome, but not fix Martin's inability to tolerate some alcohols. What a misallocation of resources, if you ask me. My own fault, really. Keep breaking my cardinal rule. If it's clear, the price is dear. Can see why I didn't go into literature. That and no stellar exploration. Mainly. Well, if you're really a savant, you might get sent into a star or something. Could take a hyper to solve this head, except I'll keep it. It's good to have reminders, you know, even if they hurt. Speaking of reminders, got laid last night. Well, at least 2 of us did. I hope. So that's good. Don't need to boot up SynVR for a while. I'll admit I was feeling... what a word. I was feeling a bit alone. It's too emotive. Something better. Isolated. Yes, much better. Isolated. I mean, Tenneth and I spend a lot of time together, but, well, we're only human after all. Anyway, celebrations were wrapping up last night, mess was filtering out. Booted up ASMR. That's our all-in-one morale and relief app. Not to be confused with the other type of ASMR. Wasn't after that one. Well, not yet anyway. Enabled my Ono status. Proximity spike right away. HUD highlight immediately on the IR. Junior Ensign Amy Rowland from Operations standing quietly in the corner, sipping a flute of blood orange. Saw me at the same time. I went over to greet my superior. I've never had the same modesty around officers as other enlisted do. Couldn't tell you why. Smiles, appraisals, touching. Seamless app integration. Before we could both disable our Ono, it spiked again. Medical LT from a table over. Friends were all leaving. Think we both shared a tri-tingle. On way to us, they got called back by the same friends from the door. Spike died there. So we shared a sad smile with each other instead. Nice night regardless. Not sure what I was expecting in a JR's room. Can tell you. Definitely wasn't a mantle by the window with a row of pop cult bobbleheads on it. I'll give it to Amy though, she's sly. Had a jerry-rigged IPE hooked up underneath the mantle. That's an iPad without the drive part. She kept me still until the clock hit a 10-minute interval. All the little heads began bobbling in perfect unison. What a sight. Also of note, a JR's quarters is about the same size as an expert's. That's something. Except more... she's nowhere near a lift shaft. We lifted off too then, as it were. I think whatever cognitive, neural, psycho-mental epithet person who helped develop the ASMR app had a fairly good grasp of the human condition. Have to give it to them. There's the option to enable OFO, but it's at the bottom of the status list and requires a double confirmation too. The app encourages Ono over it. Can see why. There's a wacky comfort in it, a dash of hygge, knowing that the rest of the night you're there to embrace in the... what's the word? The idolatry of ephemeral human comfort. Poetic eyewash again. But there are no expectations, no fingers into the future. Well, maybe there were. But that's it, isn't it? It's almost a natural human therapy. One you don't even know you're getting until you're droning on in a morning personal log caught between a duty shift and a post-scent-filled haze. It's what I remember most about Onos and dates, that. One of my favorite things. Sadly, cognitive science backs that up. No uniqueness for this Martin Steora. Except that Amy liked calling me Aura. I'll take what statistical outlier I can. Anyway, we were limb-entwined last night, of our own free will naturally, not because the suggestions guide in the app recommends it under Ono usage. Free will, or free will. And we were watching bobbleheads bob and the grey sheen of the neg egg folding. We'd gone to FTL sometime in the night. And we were watching all of this and talking of the day, and I dropped the question. If the calm hadn't worked, Would she have vaporized billions of cells? I think I used the word genocide. Amy works in the boat bay, did the logistics of the vessel for the transplant. She knew of the whole condenser ordeal. She wasn't sure at first. Then I told her about their exponential expansion rate from the sense, and the microfracturing that they were causing. Aura oxy-killing Silius met a tragic hypothetical fate after that. Got the same question right back at me. What would I have done? Exo, Xeno, Sol, Martian, Earth, don't suppose it matters all that much. We wipe out the ones when they get places they shouldn't be, we culture the ones that serve us well. Essentially, I decreed that we had perfected a thriving system of bacterial slavery. That tickled us. Amy said I wasn't wrong, though. Said I missed a calling. Cheekily, if not in science, then at least in command. Not so sure about that myself. I guess that scene was the analogy of our mandate, though. Have humans coiled together in the nude, gazing at the cosmos, and we're the picture of perfection. Fiddle with our air, we'll murder you. But that's why we keep a philosophy officer on board, so I don't have to worry about this. Also, so that I could tell Amy that everything I said was eyewash and that I would have burned the fuckers out to begin with. Earn me a punch. Suppose she's got a bit of old philosopher in her too. Then that earned us something else too. And that was that. That was Amy Ono Rowland. Going on for the death of a red dwarf star, this log, and there's still an hour yet before my shift. I'll figure out something to keep this haze going before it's gone. I do want to commit one more thing to you, my beloved database specialist. Spent the evening with Ensign Shotwell before Amy came into my life. And he could put them away like his name said he could. After a few in him, he starts bawling with laughter, gathering us over. He's a man with a story to tell. Shit. I thought I had it rough. Doesn't even compare. All his parents were Atmo-tinks, keeping it in the family. That's what we here call post-terraforming atmospheric adjustment specialists. Patas! Never really caught on. He was 2 years in the academy when they were on a comliner to AC to fix some niggles there. 3 days out of Seoul, all tracking and comms were lost. AS-SAR couldn't find a trace. Not even in 2 months. They were written off. Shotwell wasn't having it, though. Applied for a deferment, spent every credit he had on the best astrophysicist and a private hauler that was prepared to wobble off their way for a while. Mad endeavor, but fuck me, 3 months on he finds it. There, floating in interstellar space. His gut wrenched out, same as the gargantuan gash through the ship. Everyone's best guess, the worst statistical anomaly possible. Stellar debris from a perpendicular angle passing through the exact location of the PSE. Improbable distances. The maths of it is beyond measure, next to impossible. Made too real for Shotwell. Lost them all. No comfort, but the wake made Starship travel safer for those of us left. His findings were what led to the PSE being extended, and the increased exotic matter usage justified. Led to hull-hall distortion sensors into the external plating, and tied into the quantum AI processor for micro-deflection control. Small compensation, though. Anyway, that's not what he was laughing in hysterics about. Nor was finding some of his parents floating in the hallways, and the others gaping open in locked rooms with balls of blood still bounding about. Shit. I don't know how he was giggling through it all. Either the ending or the shots. Definitely one of those two. Anyway, he's the one that finds all of this thanks to his ASEVA training. At least he didn't have to do the cleanup. SAR took care of that. The ship was a mess of functionality, though. Some systems were still online. Luck of piercing certain GCCCs and which OCNs were severed. Which ducts were... Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, Shotwell makes his way to the dining hall. It's spaced, but the pantry is sealed tight. More than that, and this is where it starts, his sense tells him something's alive on the other end, but he can't get a DNA read through the composites. So he fuses a vac hole to the door, seals himself inside, and cracks it open. What does he find? Near loses his bowels as her cat screams in a panic, smashing through things. Damn creature won't stop wailing and running wild. Survived on clawing open emergency rat packs. Beautiful symbolism in there. Now imagine yourself in Shotwell's shoes. You've just found all your parents dead in a floating container, and you find this cat. It's all he's got left. He's going to fucking take this cat, and he's going to get it home. So Shotwell's scrambling and screaming at the thing, and the cat's going manic. Finally gets her, though, by the tip of the tail, so he yanks like a bastard. Gets her close, but then he realizes there's a vacuum between himself and his hauler. Now he's got this cat, screeching and writhing under one arm, and he's trying to undo his EMU with the other, because he figures he'll jam the damn thing into his suit, seal them both in, and be on their way. Only, after near ripping the seams and the mag clamps to get it in, the cat turns into a damn tiger. It's too late though, Shotwell's already gunning back. The way the EMU's designed, little Kitty can't get to his face. Doesn't matter though, it's going feral on the inside, mauling the undersuit. Shotwell can feel the talons ripping away on the inside. Then it gets worse. Demented mammal starts clawing the EMU itself. After a few minutes, its claws are punching through, and he's getting 100 different warnings blaring at him. He's just made it out the ship, and he figures with depletion rates and an imminently frozen cat, neither of them are going to make it. So he slaves his EMU thrusters to his Neuralink and gets the suit's AI to plot the trajectories back while he pulls out a roll of sealant tape and goes to work on his bulging, undulating, manic belly, patching ruptures the best he can. Barely makes it back, and the crew rushes him through the airlock. But now they won't touch him. They think it's a scene out of some sci-fi horror. Some xeno-terrors inside him, and he's crying out, "Cat! Cat, there's a fucking cat inside me!" They eventually cut the suit off, and the cat flies out, and there's just a mess of material and blood and wounds. Medic's on him in a flash, but he's bawling now that the cat is safe. But really, he's thinking of the passageways he's just come from, and the rest of the crew are sprinting through the ship after the crazy kitty. Now, and to top it all off, damn thing climbs into a vent to escape, but it's an old hauler with a decentralized Atmo control, so it tries to press its way through a grated fan and gets its front paw chopped off for the effort. The crew then rushes back to Shotwell and the medic, and they're both on the floor, Shotwell and the cat, pissing blood while the medic turns vet. Pale too. Oh, shit. What a tale. Oh, old Shotwell and his cat. What a bloody horror show. He still got the damn thing, though. What a maniac. It's why he's the only serving AS person to be allowed a cat on board. Commander's dog aside. But that's a story for another time. That fucking cat. Better get a move on to work. Amy and a cat. Humanity in the starry abyss. Not bad. Not bad. End log. The Logs of the Starship Tesla is an Aureaditry production and was written and performed by CMF Eisenstein and brought to you by our generous patrons on Patreon. If you enjoyed this original content, please consider subscribing or following on your preferred platform. Alerts, the thumbing of things, and comments are welcome. To do all of this, please proceed to your nearest Starship Tesla terminal today.